take off the hijab on the stage. And people might ask, you might say, but you have just taken off the niqab. Why don't you take off the hijab? Well, I thought really deeply about this, and I asked so many people. But I will be scrutinized in my country in a huge way because hijab is such a big and sensitive symbol in the Islamic world. So if I take it off, this part might be taken out of context and people will focus only on it. And because of social media, that would be the only thing that people would share. And this is not why I am doing this talk. And not only that, I'm also a public figure. And I always try to control my public image because I really want to make an impact in my society. And some of my friends, the Westerners, said, but no, in here, you really show us that you don't have full agency. I was like, I don't need to prove to anyone that I have full agency over my decision. So I will not keep the niqab to prove to anyone that I am an honorable woman, and I will not take off the hijab on stage to prove to anyone that I am a liberated woman. This is not the point of the talk. I'm here only to tell my story. So I took off the hijab in the United States, but I'm not going to take it off here on stage. And now again, I need a religious basis to back my position. So because I studied Sharia, I developed a skill that allows me to look into the spirit of the script rather than the letter of the script. So let's look at the Quranic verse, what it says. And I'm going to read it in Arabic. يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيما. Understood? So aside from all the man interpretations of what the Muslim woman's dress should be like, whether the niqab or the hijab, this is exactly what the verse says. O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves part of their outer garments. That is more suitable that they be known and not be harmed. So back to the idea of the spirit of the text. This is the spirit of the text. Not to be known and then be harmed. So now, in Yemen, what is the dress that would make me be known and maybe bring harm to myself? And for example, in France, where the niqab or the hijab is banned, what is the dress that would make me be known and maybe bring harm to myself, right? But how do we define harm? For example, harm to my friend Aida would be banning the hijab. The hijab to Aida is a matter of identity, a matter of choice. So if you ask her to remove the hijab, it would be as if you are asking her to give up her identity or her choice. Harm, for example, maybe I'll guess Turisha doesn't like the hijab or the niqab, but the society forces her to wear the niqab or the hijab in order to comply with the social norms. The harm to a woman living in France would be maybe if she can't get a job or if she can't finish her higher education. Harm to Joanna, let's say that she is a shy woman, for example, it would be for her all the eyes staring at her when she walks in the street because she is wearing something different. And this might result in her being isolated and not part of the society. The harm to me would be that if I feel uncomfortable on the streets because I dress differently. But the question now is, why do societies create hostile environments for women and then ask women to protect themselves from the harm that the society created in the first place? So for example, now I'm going to go back to Yemen, okay? So based on the idea of harm, I will wear the hijab or the niqab in order not to be harmed. But what if I don't want to wear the niqab or the hijab? Will my people allow me? And not only allow me, will they make me feel comfortable not wearing the hijab or the niqab? No, absolutely not. And don't think that you are in the West better than my people. Because what if Safa of 2002, who used to wear the niqab, or Safa of 2008, who used to believe in the hijab, what if I come to the West or any non-Muslim country? Will you accept me and accept my hijab and my niqab? And not only accept me, will you make me feel comfortable with the choices that I myself made because I believed that they were part of my religion? And will you provide me with all the opportunities you provide those who you call the liberal women? I don't think so. So for me, a woman is a woman everywhere in the world. People will judge you by how you dress. In some cultures, they ask you to cover up. And in other cultures, they ask you to open up. So here I am, 2017, and this is how I look without the hijab. And this picture is real. It's not a fake one. This is me. I'm doing Masters in Public Policy here at Oxford University. And next year, inshallah, or actually this August, I'm going to Harvard Law for another Masters. About a month ago, a friend of mine with whom I had literally not been in touch for 16 years contacted me through Facebook. So I opened the message and I was like, oh my God, like she showed up out of nowhere. I was so happy. So in her message, she said, she was like, what the hell, Safa, has happened to you? Why did you change? And I was like, holy Lord. Sorry, I was about to say a bad word. So I was like, holy Lord, 16 years, and you're asking me now what happened. I mean, if you ask me what happened last week, I wouldn't be able to know like where to start. And then she said, Safa, I think that you have been westernized, and I'm just contacting you because I really don't want you to be punished by God on the day of judgment. Now, my friend is not the only one who thinks that I have been westernized. So many people in my community think the same way. But my story is not about westernization, whether you consider it as a compliment or an accusation. But my story is a story about a Muslim woman who studied Sharia and law, and who has traveled to so many places in the world, and who has been exposed to so many experiences, and who has faced so many challenges and made decisions and choices based on the context she found herself in. So maybe some of you might relate to my story. Some of you might not. But at the end of the day, it is my personal story. It is my truth. It's what happened to me. And what pains me, again, through my personal story, is that at every stage, whether it was the niqab or the hijab, or without the niqab or the hijab, at every stage, I had to think once, twice, 3 times, and 1,000,000 times about the social and cultural norms when I wanted to make any decision. Which makes me always wonder, do we really have full agency over our choices? Do we really fully own our decisions? So, it's just sometimes I feel like I'm so tired and sick because I just want people to leave women alone. Leave us alone. If I want to ride the bicycle this way, cool. If I want to ride it this way, it should be equally cool. But the truth is, this is not what happens. So if I want to go to any non-Muslim country and I choose to wear the niqab or the hijab, you have to respect my choice. And if I was forced to wear the niqab or the hijab, then you need to understand that it's far more complicated than you think. Because with the woman's body and the woman's dress, there are so many intersectionalities, whether it's social patriarchy, whether it's religious conservatism, or political authoritarianism. To my people, if I decide not to wear the niqab or the hijab, or if I decide to take off the niqab or the hijab, that doesn't mean that I have been westernized. You have just seen my story through 16 years. It has been full of questioning and challenging, and it's still full of questioning and challenging. So do not defame me. Do not dishonor me. Because Islam, the religion that my father taught me, is far more flexible and merciful than your own interpretations of the religious text. We all see the conflicts that are happening in our world these days. I believe that is because of our incomplete humanity that rejects the different and fears change. Our humanity will never be complete until we open our hearts to feel for the other, until we open our minds to understand the thoughts of the other, until we open our eyes to see the existence of the other. Our humanity will never be complete until our feet step into the shoes of the other, and until our lips smile sincerely at the other. Then, and only then, will our humanity be complete. Then, and only then, will we build bridges between us as well as within us. Thank you.